money interests in the United States are kind of pushing back a little bit against this globalism. And I think we get a flavor of that here in the next couple quotes. So if we go to the next one, this one is China. He talks about China, and I cut off the part about Putin, but this is China and Putin. So I'll just read through this. China, oh man, it's small print. I can't read it. Let me pull up I'm gonna have to pull up the original piece. Sorry, guys. Okay, China has serious issues. Our neighbors are peaceful. Mexico and Canada. Their neighbors are India, Pakistan, Russia, and Vietnam. They don't have enough energy and food. We do. We use 10 million barrels of oil a day. We pretty much produce most of it ourselves. They use 14 million barrels a day, and they import something like 10 or 11. Those are 10 or 11 are going by pipeline or ship. A lot of ships that go by the oil tankers go by American warships. Autocratic management can work in certain things, but doesn't work in the long run. They kind of look at America and say, you have become incompetent and lazy. There is truth to that. We have screwed up infrastructure. We have screwed up inner city schools. But I think it is a mistake to say that America has the short end of the stick. We have the best military in the world, but we have overused it. You see what China is doing in Africa and Asia. We need to do that too. America needs to take a leadership position. People are making a mistake with America first thinking. We are spending too much time and money on foreign ventures that don't make sense. If we don't do trade with Western allies, China is going to cherry pick every nation. They'll give them 5G equipment for cheap. They'll negotiate deals, lend money. They are trying to do it in Latin America, our backyard. And then in a separate thing, he says, I think China is overreacting a little bit with the Taiwan thing. So interesting here that he's talking about some of the stuff I have been saying he copied my economic hurricane argument, and now he's copying me about saying that, the geopolitical situation of the U.S. is that we have peaceful neighbors. With two oceans, great harbors, great rivers, great agriculture, lots of natural resources. And you compare that to China, where they're getting, over half of their energy imported right past our warships. So, passing it back to you, Christian. What do you think?
I just want to flex that we've been talking about this for months on this show. So thanks, Jamie Dimon, for listening. And to everyone else listening, this is where the alpha comes from. So whenever you hear anyone LARP about China's dominant position taking over the U.S., even Ray Dalio recently wrote an entire book about this. There is nothing in reality that shows that is the case. So obviously China's making moves. Obviously China is powerful, but they're making huge mistakes. And the U.S. is still the entrenched power.
Yeah, and the U.S. has let its infrastructure go downhill, let its schooling go downhill, hollowed out the middle class. Well, that means we have area to grow. We can get back to basics and grow the economy. But anyway, let's go to the next one. I think you'll like this one, Christian. This is on climate change. He said we should focus on climate. So that's this. I don't think that's what he means by this, but let's keep going here. The problem with that is because of high oil and gas prices, the world is turning back on their coal plants. It is dirtier. Why can't we get that through our thick skulls? What if you want to solve climate change? It is not against climate for America to boost more oil and gas. So he's really a big drill baby drill kind of guy, I guess, is what he's saying. And he's saying that's good for the climate. So what are your thoughts on that, Christian?
I mean, this is the Alex Epstein argument, which is that, guess what helps us solve?
Yeah.
Yes, climate change is real. Yes, carbon is entering into the atmosphere. But guess what helps us solve those issues faster than they change? It's also fossil fuel powered technology.
More energy. Yeah.
So, the answer is more energy. That's how you solve it. And if you look at the stats, there's never been less climate-related deaths than today, and that's because of fossil fuel, for the most part, energy, or energy abundance that's currently provided by fossil fuels. So I think the key here, and this is where the ESG people miss, is that there is no rationing our way to prosperity when it comes to energy. There is only more and more efficient ways to get energy. Right now, fossil fuels are one of the most convenient, efficient ways to do it. But there will be new ways to do it as well. And that's the key of Bitcoin. That's what Bitcoin does, is it incentivizes that. It taps into purely network forces to get us to that as fast as possible. So this is why we need to lean into Bitcoin. And honestly, guys like Jamie Dimon, I don't think it's going to take them that long to actually get it,
Right.
because it's really freaking obvious. Bitcoin is good for energy production. If you don't get it, I don't have time to convince you at this point. And honestly, Jamie Dimon and others will get it. They will get it. They
Yeah,
get paid to get it. Bitcoin pays them to get it.
especially if they're on the side of more energy production in the U.S. And if that is going to become kind of the elite position that the U.S. actually needs to pump more oil and more energy, I think Bitcoin mining goes right along with that. So that they'll come around. I have one more quote here, and that is woke capitalism. So this is, again, I'll have to remind people, this is Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan, who is supposed to be like this elite Davos globalist. And he's in these notes, he's talking against ESG. He's talking against woke capitalism. He's talking for building up America and pumping oil, drilling for oil here. It's fascinating to me. So here's what he says about woke capitalism. You could ignore the bad part of society, not hire from them, not drive through parts of town. I think it is a mistake, because our society is worse off if we didn't lift everybody up. It is far more than woke capitalism. It is a good thing to lift up our fellow citizens. You travel the world and see things that work. Apprenticeship programs in Switzerland and Germany. If you have generations of kids, 17 to 25, with 20% unemployment, you can be sure you're going to have a social problem. Jobs bring dignity, household formation. Jobs reduce crime. Everybody should try to help if they can. And man, this is sounding like a conservative politician, if you ask me. But what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, we're getting to the point now where woke capital is no longer good for business. It's eating itself. The left, to many degrees, at least the political left in the United States, is eating itself. The standards are so high that everyone is breaking them, and therefore everyone is a hypocrite and under attack. And it just cannot survive any longer. So on the Bitcoin Magazine podcast, I believe Brandon Green made the prediction that ESG, especially from BlackRock, as an investment strategy, will no longer be relevant in the next 5 years. And I would say that's probably true. I don't think it makes it out of the decade, because honestly, it dies. Like whenever people adopt it, they they go severely south. Like the biggest benefit of ESG is marketing. That is it. Its greatest success is marketing. Beyond that, and any real production and any real results beyond marketing, beyond selling, it's actually a complete and utter failure. And when matched up against reality, that's what happens. Look at Sri Lanka. Look at what's happening in Europe. Look what could happen in the global south if this stuff is adopted. So I really do think that people need to beware. I really do think that it's not going to take that long where these policies will wreck people. And it's, again, very interesting to see Davos man Jamie Dimon speaking this, this truth, if you will. I just think it's like you can't ignore it at this point. And it's going to be less. It'll be more and more obvious and less ignorable, less tolerable as time passes by, because adopting ESG brings poverty. And guess what? People hate poverty. It sucks. Especially if you didn't have poverty and then you're subject to poverty, you really effing hate it. So I don't think that people will stand for it.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. One other thing that I pulled out from this is he's kind of about the economy, he was unsure. But then as he moved more into social issues with woke capitalism and ESG and stuff, then he got more passionate or more concrete. So I do think that there is a little bit of confusion at these upper echelons of what exactly is going on. And I think Powell probably shares the same confusion at the Fed.